me now to unpack this, we have Chinnan Dikwai, as the Vice Chair, Africa Energy Council, joining me via Zoom. Great to have you on the show. Good morning.
Hi, Ladi. Good to see you.
Yeah, it's great to have you. So, NNPCL, they're reportedly in talks with Chinese firms to rehabilitate local refineries. What should Nigeria be looking for in a foreign technical partner?
That's a great question, Ladi. So I completely understand how jaded, how tired Nigerians feel around, when you mention the word refineries. There's no question that everybody's tired about hearing this. We paid about $3.2 billion the last couple of years to revamp all of this, all down the drain, and people are getting jaded naturally. But I'll say this, yes, the focus is on the Chinese partner, but before I answer your question, I'll just go back to what the GCO of NNPC said, just to break down his statement, and then I'll pick up this answer. So if you listen to what he said, which I think was really poignant, Bio said that for a refinery to work, these are his thoughts, there are three key things that have to come together. It's almost like a triangle. Top one of the triangle, he said, was financing. Next one, he said, was the EPC contract. EPC, just for people to know, engineering, procurement, and construction. And then the third one, he said, was the O&M, operation and maintenance of that refinery. So to summarize, you want to build a refinery, you have to go to the bank to try and get the money, financing. Once you have the money, you have to design the refinery and all of that, and procure it, and then build it, EPC. Once you build it, now it needs to go into operation, O&M, operation and maintenance. Bio said that in Nigeria, we've tended to focus on the top two, financing and EPC. And the reason for that is not far off. And when I listened to him, I heard what Bio was saying. I also heard what he was not saying. So these are my thoughts. What Bio was saying in terms of financing, when you look at financing, he made it very clear. The financing, do we get it? Yes, we do. But he was saying that much of the way the financing and the EPC was done was to take value away from the system. He was saying that they take value away and then they leave the operation and maintenance almost with no thought in them. The biggest problem you're saying was the two. Now, financing, how does that work? To organize finance, and Ladi, pardon me, I'll just want to break this down, so I'm going to take a lot of time. Organized financing, somebody would have to go to the bank. There's an arrangement fee, that the person will be paid. There's an advisory fee, there are commitment fees, there's foreign exchange hedging and all of that. A lot of focus used to go in there. And of course, there are incentives for whoever is doing this, okay? This is the reality. So huge focus there, understandably. When you go into engineering, procurement, construction, EPC, the same. And EPC is a contractor, most of the time a foreign contractor. The way the deal was structured in the past was very opaque. They would allow scope creep. So first of all, they will say the scope is X, but then they write the contract in such a way that they allow the contract to say, the scope is it's not going to work, so they will extend it. In all of those extensions and variation orders, money is fretted away. Even the bill of quantity for every material on there is inflated. When you look at it, even the work that's done is poor quality, so a lot of work goes into the rework and all of that. Bio is saying, okay, in very diplomatic terms. If you're a technical person, you can hear it. All right. He was saying in diplomatic terms what the problem was, but I could hear what he was not saying as well. And it's very clear that we focus on these two because there is a lot of pie for whoever's doing it. They can take all of that value away. Not a lot of value was given to, with all of this thing done, now we have a refinery. How do we operate that refinery? Nobody thought about that. So by the time it's delivered to you, you don't even have the right manpower to do it. And even when it came to O&M, they would even make it a contract. So I'm quoting him. He said it was done in such a way that there is no skin in the game. Nobody here has skin in the game. The guy who's financing comes and finances it, takes his money away. He finances, takes the value, whatever value he takes away, he goes. The EPC guy comes and delivers to you a project. He doesn't have skin in the game. He's built it for you, designed all of that. He goes away. He doesn't have skin in the game. Even the operation and maintenance cost is done in such a way that it's very shoddy. They don't have skin in the game. Bio is saying with the Chinese, he's looking for an equity partner. So this is not somebody who will just come and deliver a service. This is somebody with understanding of how refineries are run, and they would have to come and take equity in here, and they will run the refinery with Nigerians. There will be knowledge transfer to Nigerians. After a while, we should be able to take it and run with. And I think the lady there asked a very important question. How much equity would you give? Of course, he would not tell her right now what the numbers are because it has to be looked at very cleverly. But without a doubt, it's a powerful place to be. And I think, if we can get any of PetroChina, you can get any of Sinochem or Sinopec, these are established players in China who have run petrochemical plants and they will bring value.
All right, talking about value at this point and bringing value, let's look at what's been spent so far. 13 trillion naira between 2023 and 2024, and that's spending on the Port Harcourt, Warri, and Kaduna refineries. Total cost there, 13.2 trillion. 2023 debt, 4.5 trillion. 2024 debt, 8.67 trillion. Turnaround maintenance costs, refinery operational support, bank charges and financing costs, and continued commercial losses at this point. And, looking at this, it almost seems what's going to change, really, this time? Is it going to be the same old spending with no result or no oil, coming out from those refineries? What must be done differently this time to ensure success?
You paint a really good picture there, and it's very humbling. When you do it in naira like that, trillions and trillions, you're really shocked. But even in dollars, it shocks as well. For the three that you described there, in dollars, it's about 3.2 billion. This is a lot of money. Now, I'll put that in context. 3.2 billion, our budget for 2026 is about $40 billion. Okay, so almost 10% of our budget. Just so you know, just for refineries, almost 10% of our budget. So it's a lot of money. To answer your question, what needs to change? I think Bio has diagnosed the problem in the right way. We do not need contractors anymore. We do not need contractors who don't have skin in the game. A guy who comes and offers you a service and you finish and says bye-bye. He doesn't have any incentive to make sure that that refinery is built operationally that can run for the next 40, 50 years. What we need are people who would come and take equity in there. Their money is also at risk as much as Nigerian money is at risk. And I think to your point, what can we do differently? I think is the right approach. We find a partner and not a contractor, a partner who takes equity. He comes with not just money, but technical expertise of running refineries around well. And when he does that, we hold him to account. We make sure that our people are being trained side by side so that we can also learn operationally how these refineries work. I think that is what we need. I'll quote him again. The previous system was designed to take value away. Pay me my advisory fee. I brought this financing. Pay me my money. I brought this EPC contract. Today, the way this is set up, it is entirely different. It will be, if this goes through, it would be with somebody who has run refineries before. They understand what risks are. They understand what margins are. Now, Ladi, bear in mind, running a refinery is not like upstream oil and gas. In upstream oil and gas, margins are high. Refineries, the margins are very low. It's high volume. Volume of what you produce is big, but margin is tiny. Any mistake, you're off into loss. So you need a technical partner who knows what they're doing. And I know for a fact that some of these ones in China potentially could bring that value. I can't vouch for anyone, but we've seen it happen over and over again. And I think there's a right approach to go for.
All right, definitely we'll keep tracking all of that. But it's a brand new week, and we're already seeing oil kicking off on the back foot. Now, let's look at the global side of things. What are you expecting for oil prices this week?
I think you mentioned that already. Some of the risk premium has been taken off because we see that the US is engaging and having a discussion with Iran right now. But I'd say, many people know this already, that, the US government would say one thing and then they execute, something completely different. And I'm saying that because I sit in, usually sit in the Middle East, and we know, the amount of tension that does happen around here. I think for this week, we don't expect massive movement. What I would say is looking sort of 3-4 months down the line, we do expect to see, again, huge oversupply because there are several factors that we're seeing coming into the market, a bit of oversupply. And I think oil in sort of ranges where they are, $61 per barrel, $60 per barrel is probably a fair price for now. I think as we go into the summer months, for sure, would get that oversupply. But maybe as we go into Q4, we expect to see that demand could pick up, especially from China right now.
All right, so much to unpack there. Thank you so much, Chinnan, for helping us make sense of what to expect for Nigerian refineries at this point. Chinnan Dikwai is the Vice Chair, Africa Energy Council. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Pleasure. Thank you.